Eddie doesn't mind sharing. You notice, at first he tries to eat the whole thing. Then he kind of common sense kicks in and he realizes he can't. So then he starts ripping it apart. Another thing you notice as I walk by, are you going to do it for me? Not as much for me. He doesn't do, there it goes. He kind of covers with his wings. What he's doing, falconers, and I'm a falconer, we call that mantling. What he's doing is he's covering his food. He doesn't want me to steal his food because he knows that I love mice. By the way, that whole mouse is gone. Gulped it down whole, well, bit by bit. He first usually tries to gulp it down whole. The other day I was at Lake Placid Lodge and I gave a presentation and he tried to choke it down whole. I thought he was going to choke himself. And he spent about 6-7 minutes and they were all watching him. Everybody was watching him like... And finally he decided he couldn't do it, so he forced it back out and then he ripped it into shreds. Now, question is, how the heck can he take this big huge mouse, stuff it down without choking? I mean, if you and I tried to do that, we'd choke. Anybody got an idea? Got a thought? If you look at, with us, we got the esophagus and the trachea, right? And they come up, and your trachea basically connects where? Right around the glottis, which is just above your voice box, covered by your epiglottis, right? With hawks and owls, with all birds anyway, with hawks and owls, what their glottis is, remember the glottis is the opening to the trachea, is actually attached to their tongue. If he sticks out his tongue, you will actually see a tube, so that if he's got the food in his mouth and he's got it really stuffed in, he'll push his tongue out so he can breathe, even if he has half the snake inside him and half the snake outside him. Rarely, but occasionally it does happen that you hear about a bird of prey choking to death, but it tends to be very rare because of the way their system is. Now you notice Eddie's a little bit more focused on me. Scooter watches me, but he's not like totally super attentive of me. Eddie is like super, because Eddie's a falconry bird. I fly Eddie. I'll go out, I'll untether him, I'll let him go, he's 100% free, he can fly off to Kingdom Come for all he cares. And I'll walk through the woods and he'll follow me through the woods for a mile, or 2, or sometimes even 3 or 4 miles. And he'll follow me from tree to tree to tree, he's watching me. If I kick up a squirrel or a rabbit, he'll chase it. If he doesn't catch it, he comes back. If he does catch it, I gotta go find him. But he's a falconry bird. Now, I haven't flown Eddie for falconry in over a year, well, over 2 years, because, and this is getting more into what you guys are into. Eddie got something called bumblefoot. Do you guys know what bumblefoot is? What bumblefoot is a staph infection. It's a staph infection of the feet. What he did was, I know, you're ready to go for another name now. I know, I shouldn't be waving my hand, all right? It's a staph infection of their feet. He's like, where's more? And he poked himself, so he had an infection in both feet. What more? Birds of prey, they don't have a lot of their circulation isn't that great. Sure, you don't come to me now, except for now, yeah. Hang on, I got one more for you. Last one, pal. And because they have such a poor circulation in their feet, they get the staph infection. They can actually die from something called bumblefoot. He had it, I caught it pretty quick because I'm pretty good. I keep an eye on all my animals. And I spotted it before it popped up really big. But I caught birds of prey where the bumblefoot is so bad it looks like a golf ball in there. If it gets that bad, not only do they have the infection, but then they can't grab their food. They usually die of starvation or the infection. But anyhow, Eddie had bumblefoot. We had him on antibiotics, so this is why I need a good vet up here so you people don't all of you leave. I work with Mike Smith, and Mike Smith is a good vet, but he told me, he said, I don't know a lot about birds of prey, we'll learn this together, and he did a great job. But it took us a whole year to get that bumblefoot under condition. And just before the bumblefoot was gone, he picked up something called aspergillus or aspergillosis. You guys know what that is? It's a fungus in the lungs. So he actually had 2 different diseases. Both of them are lethal to birds of prey at the same time. Finally, when he picked that up, I said I had enough. I drove him to Cornell, and I said, all right, what's going on? You know, what can we do? And I was just talking to, my brain just stopped. Anyhow, I was just talking to one of the vets here, and, yes, Dr. B. And him and I graduated college together, I should have known. And I was talking to him, and I said, who around here does birds of prey? And he said, well, nobody. Dr. Plant does down in Watertown, but I'm 40 minutes the other direction, so it's an hour and a half. So if I have a bird in distress, I'm not going to travel an hour and a half with a bird who's, you know, just barely surviving. So, but check out Eddie. What he's doing right now, you notice how Eddie has impeccable table manners, if anything. You notice he cleaned up, he picked his toes, and then when he was done, he washed his face. You saw how he rubbed his beak? That's, falconers, we call that feeking, and what feeking is where they clean their beak, because if they don't, you're going to have all this dead and rotten material on the beak, and they can't smell it, but it will draw in insects, and they don't need that, so there he goes again. He's cleaning his beak, because he's got impeccable table manners. He takes after his papa. Couple other things you notice, maybe if I go this way, maybe he'll turn around. Yeah, there he goes. You notice right at the base of his neck, you notice how that's kind of puffed out? That wasn't puffed out. Right at the base of the neck, you see that puffed up? That is, hawks have a crop, and sometimes you hear, they talk about chickens having a crop too. It's a place, you know, where they store the food before the gizzard starts breaking it down. Well, hawks don't have a gizzard, but they do have the crop. And they store the food there, so you notice that when he ate all that, it's puffing up there. Now, the owls, Scooter's not going to eat in front of you because Scooter's a wild animal in captivity, and Scooter will only eat. He doesn't even need to eat in front of me. And I've sat with him and tried to outweigh him, and he just won't eat with me. But when he eats, it just goes straight down. It never puffs up. Tessie will eat, but when she's really in a people kind of mood, she's like, food can wait. My people are here. But when she eats, what you're going to notice is it doesn't puff up there because owls don't have a crop. Hawks do, which is why it's all puffy there. And it kind of makes sense because owls have more lifting power so they can get the food off the ground a lot easier. Hawks don't have the lifting power, so they want to do is they want to eat just as quick as they can, because when they're on the ground, that's when they are the most vulnerable. So they want to get that food into them and back up as quick as they can. And so that's what they do. How you doing, Sprock? I've been waiting for somebody to ask. Oh, maybe you're going to ask. Go ahead.
Why does he have the bells on?
Thank you! When you've been replaced. Why does he have the bells on? I was just going to say I've been waiting for somebody to ask why he has the bells on. He has the bells on because when I take Eddie out and we're flying and I unhook him and I let him go, he's gone. I'm walking through the woods. I'm usually walking through. Most people have this romantic view of falconry. You get to be one with the bird. It's a bunch of crap. You are walking through, you're beating the brush, you're working, the hawk is like, come on. The hawk does nothing. You do 98% of the work. But while you're beating the brush and moving around, the hawk's moving around. I don't want to be beating the brush and constantly like, all right, where are you? So I'm listening for the bells. And the bells will tell me exactly where he is and what's he doing. And I'm pretty good at deciphering the ring of the bells now. If it's kind of like that, I know he's kind of shuffling around on his perch. If they're kind of moving away from me, then I'll look and say, okay, where are you and what are you doing? If I hear a loud, fast jingle, that usually means he's coming in and he sees something. So I'm good at deciphering what the ring of the bells are, and that helps me keep track of it. I also, if it's a bird that I'm worried about flying off on me, if If it's a bird that I worry about flying off on me, I'll put telemetry on. But most of the time, Eddie and Frida's my big Harris hawk. I did not bring her today, but she is about, picture him, remember we said birds of prey females are larger? She's about half again as big as he is. She looks like a little eagle. And the difference between Eddie and Frida behavior-wise is, you notice Eddie's looking around, he's looking for a perch. He is more comfortable if he's up out of the way. Now, Eddie was hatched in captivity just like Tess, okay? Just like Tess was. But the difference was, Eddie was raised by his mother. So even though he was hatched in captivity, he knows he's a Harris hawk. Tess was hatched in captivity, but she was raised by people, so she doesn't really know what she is. So because of that, Eddie, being a male Harris hawks are a little more timid, a little more shy. He's looking and saying, that perch up there looks just a little bit better. I'll be up away from these people. But he knows he can't go there, so he's kind of looking and daydreaming. If I brought Frida with me, and I didn't, because she's molting right now, and it's nesting season, and when it's nesting season, she gets gnarly. But with female birds of prey and with Frida, she is super, super snarly. If I put her here, she'd stare at you like she was sizing you up, because what she's doing, she's sizing you up. Frida has actually attacked people before. Frida has attacked a 25-pound tom turkey, a large male gander goose, my 35-pound very confused bird dog, and the one that shocked the heck out of me is Frida attacked and chased out of the woods and hit 6 or 7 times a white-tailed deer. She chased it, and you look at her and you think, you are not a golden eagle, what are you doing? Well, Harris hawks, they're found on the southwest. They have a whole pecking order thing. They hunt in groups. They can hunt in groups as many as 5, 10, up to 18, maybe even 20. So they get this whole hierarchy thing going. And she just took exception to having the white-tailed deer in her habitat, so she attacked it. Yeah. So I thought maybe for the sake of keeping you folks safe, because when it's nesting season, she gets really cranky, and it's nesting season right now. I kind of take my life into my own hands every time I go and feed her. Come on. Hey, up. Thank you. There you go. I'm going to bring Eddie around so you can get a better look at Eddie.